Yo, what is up, everybody? It's Tuesday night. It's your boys. It's Flyers Talk A to D. Believe it or not, we are just over a week away from the season opener on October 9th. Heading down to Florida to face the world champion Panthers, a very limping Florida Panthers. Tonight, we do our season preview. We're going to talk about expectations. We're going to talk about a lot of the stuff we've talked about already throughout the offseason. Any surprises on the roster, who may make it, who may not make it. There were 10 guys cut this afternoon, so was one of the guys on that list. We'll discuss that list, and we're also going to talk about more of the roster updates, what this roster is going to look like heading into opening night, what could it look like heading into opening night, all that and more. Make sure we hit that like, make sure we hit that subscribe, hit that share button if you're on Twitter or if you're on Facebook. Let's go. It's time to get the conversation started. Let's go talk some puck.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a brand new edition of Flyers Talk A2D right here on A2DRadio.com. I am Matt Sensuti along with the Darkwing, Brian Daly.
What
The Broken One, Rob Povia.
Literally, man, everything hurts on me. Ow.
Maybe the Shattered One is a better choice.
Well, I'm broken.
We thank everybody once again for tuning in here, brought to you by the doc, Dr. Paul Vidal over at Specialized Physical Therapy. If you have any aches and pains and they are just causing you nothing but frustrations, hit up the doc, Dr. Paul Vidal at www.specializedphysicaltherapy.com. And once you visit them, make an appointment for Cherry Hill of Burlington, New Jersey. And after you had a couple of sessions with them, you'll feel as good as new and you'll be back to doing the things you love. But with that, the poll question is, Nikita Grebekin has had a good enough preseason to break through to the Flyers main roster. Agree or disagree? He did have a goal in the game that the Flyers lost to the Bruins, but he also has played pretty solid in terms of the other less savory points of the game, the points that nobody really talks about. Anyway, the point being, though, is that with how well he's been playing, is he worth the opportunity of saying, hey, let's see what the kid's got here on the big stage with the full-time starters and everything? Do you guys agree with that? Or do you think maybe he should wear a orange and black and blue jersey over in Lehigh Valley?
I agree wholeheartedly with this. And he's been one of the few guys on this has really kind of impressed me, not just from an on-ice standpoint, but off the ice. We kind of had an idea what his personality was going to be when he came over in the trade for Scotty Lawton, but I didn't think it'd be to the point where I feel like every time that I heard this guy talk, he was laughing, he was smiling, he was having a good time, he was having fun, really enjoying what he was doing. He really feels like he fits the culture of the locker room right now. As for the on-ice production, I'm not totally worried about his on-ice production right now. He's still a kid. I think he's had a pretty good camp overall. But I think this is a kid who you brought in who has a really good personality, who I think will, in time, find a way to be up on a line with Michkov. And I think those two together can be a really good tandem with the right center in the middle. I love that. I love this energy that this kid brings. I love the positivity. I love the fact that he's smiling and having a great time. Seems like he's really enjoying his life and his time in the NHL. Give the kid an opportunity. Let him play. He's really impressed me in a lot of ways. But like I said, a way to build a really good winning hockey club is having a really good locker room that, one, is loose, is having fun, and isn't taking the game. It's not taking the game seriously. I think he's a big piece in this team moving forward. Give the kid an opportunity. Let him play.
How about you, Robbie?
I think he certainly has. I agree as well. And then you look at today's cuts. It's looking mighty good for him to actually make this roster for opening night. The key thing is, guys, is he's made a great impression on Tocchet from Jump Street. Tocchet came out and described him as being that sticky guy, which you need that guy on your team always. He's winning the puck battles by being strong on his feet and controlling the flow. And from what I've seen in practices and preseason games, especially Monday's tilt versus the Bruins, like you said, Batty, he knows exactly where to be on the ice. His positioning is excellent. And as a result, he had 3 shots on goal versus Boston on Monday, one over the goal over the weekend. And he nearly scored on a power play chance against the Rangers, as well as having an awesome breakaway on a 3-on-3 drills from some of these videos from practice that were coming out, really showcasing his puck handling. He's been impressive for sure, according to Talk, quote unquote, and is a front runner for a spot. So after the cuts today, often being paired with Matt Michkov, to Brian's point, I think that certainly helps his chances, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Swoopy saying, what about Alex Bump? Unfortunately, I think we might have an answer for that. But we'll talk about that a little bit later on in the show. Anyway, so as for Nikita Grebekin, I think if he is keeping the locker room loose and he's keeping everybody, if not on point, if he's keeping them sort of keeping them grounded, like keeping everybody sort of just like, hey guys, it could be worse. We're fine. It's you need guys like that, like you said, Bri, and if that's what he does, if that's what he brings to the table, it might be great to have somebody like that paired with Michkov. Someone who's got that God-given talent that Mitchie has at the end of the day. It's very important to have someone who's a little bit more on the, like settle down, bud. Everything's okay, you haven't scored yet, doesn't mean you won't,
Well, not just yet, not just that, but I mean, if you kind of look at their personalities, they're kind of similar. I mean, I know Mitchie can't exactly speak really good English yet. He's come a long way, but they have very similar personalities. I mean, Michkov just looks like he has a serious look to his face, but I feel like the way that he's been interacting with Zegras, and I haven't seen him interacting with Grebenkin yet, but it doesn't mean that they're not. I mean, they just seem like they have very similar goofy personalities. I think that could mesh really well.
That could. It helps, I think, too, because it'll keep everybody calm. Like I said, grounded. So, if that's going to help in the locker room, great. And then on top of that as well, from what I've seen on the ice, I don't think he's played poorly. So it's like, okay, he's good with the locker room, and at the same time, he's good with the coach, and he's playing pretty good, on the ice. I mean, could he be better? Sure. Has he been terrible? Absolutely not. So, I mean, seems like that there's plenty of room for him to be here on the roster. So I'm going to say agree. I think it's possible. The door is open for anybody to step in here and take a spot or two. Is there a lot of doors open? Maybe not a ton, but there's a few. And
I think there is.
Yeah.
I agree, Matty.
So why not? Let's see what the kid's got.
Yeah. Well, he brings, we talked about some of the intangibles. Let's talk about the tangibles, right? Brings size, stands 6'2", 209 pounds. That's needed on this team. He's a left shooting winger. That fills a need. He can be a nice replacement for either Ryan Poehling or Scott Laughton when he played on the wing, especially on the penalty kill and in the forechecking game. And along with that size, he brings speed, he brings physicality, and a skill set that fits the Flyers' gritty up-tempo style.
Right. And that definitely will help. It's a younger, fresh-faced version of that type of play. Whereas Paling had been around for a little while as a journeyman, and Lawton had been in Philly for a pretty good long time. So to get a younger version, if he could turn into a younger version of a Scott Lawton, who just is, if he has a little bit more high ceiling of scoring, I think that'll make the biggest difference in the world right there. But even if not, if he winds up fitting into that role where he's a really young and very talented player, where he can be in that role as if he's like a strong third line or strong, even can bump up to the second if necessary. If he's that kind of a player, it's like, good. You need strong depth players.
Mhm.
So, and Lawton was a strong depth player. That was his role. So I would be fine with if he turns into that. I would want him to be a superstar, of course. But if he doesn't turn into that and he winds up turning into another Scott Lawton, it's like, all right, there are far worse things you could be if you turn into the next Scott Lawton. Far worse things.
No,
Well, he
for
could be, yeah, he could turn into that midline player that if he's playing with Mitchkov and has that chemistry, Brian, that's going to
Mhm.
elicit a lot of helpers and a lot of goals.
No, absolutely, and that's going to bring points, and points brings wins. And
Right.
Benny brings up a great point here with his last comment. Fits what this team wants to be right now, and they want size. Gabrankin falls into that category, right? They want to be a little bit more physical. Again, he falls right into that category. He doesn't necessarily have to be 50, 60, 70 points this year to be a major piece of the puzzle.
Right.
If he could be a strong two-way player, he's going to create a role for himself, and he's going to create ice time for himself. What's up, Don? It's a great opportunity for him to really showcase what he has. We've seen it in with the Phantoms, and we know that he can put points on the board. I want to see if he can be a two-way player and play a little bit more defense. And I think he's going to learn that here. And I'm just excited. I'm just excited to see what this kid can do, just because I like the kid's makeup. He's always laughing. He's always smiling. I love it. Like, it's hard not to like it. It's really hard not to like a person that's that way.
Right. It's good to have someone with that positive outlook and that positive vibe, even if things aren't going well. Even if the scoreboard says 8-1, who the hell cares? As long as that guy is being positive in that locker room, it does make a world of difference, even on a bad day at the office. Swoopy saying, I don't want guys making the team if they're not going to play a lot and be on the bench. Luchenko, one example.
Yeah, I agree, Swoopy. And really, what we're seeing so far in camp is that a guy he's almost there, but he's not quite ready. And I think he would benefit from getting consistent playing time. It's unfortunately it can't happen in the AHL at this point, but I don't think his development will get stunted by continuing playing in the OHL. Brian, you made that point weeks on end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean. And we'll go over it a little bit later on in the show, Soupy. But if you saw the cut list from today, there were a lot of major names on there. There were a couple names on there that I thought that were going to have a shot at making this roster. And I think that's the reason why they're getting sent back down to the AHL, so they can get those very important minutes that they're going to need to kind of keep developing as players to get ready for the NHL. So that's that. I think Gabrankin, right now has just absolutely shined in the AHL, and I thought he's had a really good camp. So if he can get those third, fourth line minutes, cool. Again, I'm all for it. Like I said, it's really hard not to like this kid with just the personality that he brings to work every day. So I'm excited to see what this kid can do.
All right, then. So with that, we continue to move on. And so as the preseason is going along, Flyers did have their second and final game of the preseason with the Boston Bruins. They won, which was nice to see. They get the victory over them. I believe the final score was 3-2, or was it 4-3? I think it was 4-3 in the shootout. Which Great game. I think the Flyers played well. Could have been a little bit stronger when having the lead, but again, you're going to have those. That's going to always be tough to hold leads. 1-goal leads are not easy. So, but again, Vladar played in net pretty much the entire game. They didn't switch goalies that night, so got a chance to see Vladar in a Flyers jersey against his old team. Not his most recent old team, but one of them. And he looked fine. I think but then again, I'm not really worried about Vladar. He's a veteran. So it's like, well, he knows what he's got to do to be ready for the season. And
he gave up 2 goals, but they were legitimate goals.
Right. So it wasn't exactly like he gave up anything lazy.
Right.
And then for the most part, solid enough play from the guys out there. I think that power play wise, was not the biggest fan of what happened at the end of 3-on-3 OT. Felt that there was a little too much passing, which resulted in us having to go to a shootout. They did try a couple of plays that seemed like they were going to get. They were going to get one past Swayman, but kind of advertised it too much and allowed for a block to happen there. Anyway,
Good point.
That's the only real major thing I saw during the game that kind of left me scratching my head like, gotta be better than that, because it's 3-on-3 OT. You just got a power play. Come on, boys, send it home. Take advantage of it. And it was what it was, though. They still won it in the shootout. Just you don't want to have to get to that point if you can avoid it.
Yeah, and you got to be impressed with the play between the pipes. I think that actually the low man that hasn't been very impressive has been Sam Harrison. I think he has a lot more work to do before this season starts, and that's putting it nicely. I mean, granted, he didn't have grade A, the top defenseman in front of him. He let in a few softies from the play that I've seen from him. Koloslav, though, looked great. My boy Bjarnason has looked really good. So hopefully there is help in the future for the netminder of the Philadelphia Flyers.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's still a growing concern for me. And I think this is the position right now that's going to be the difference of whether or not they're in a playoff position or if they're in the draft lottery this year. I think Vladar and Harrison are the 2 best options right now. Do I think that they're going to be? I think Vladar has had the better preseason, hands down. The question is going to be, for me at least, how long is it going to be until Yegor Zavragin's ready to come over? I think he's ready to come over now, but is Danny going to be able to work that magic to get Zavragin over here like he was able to get Michkov? Or is Zavragin going to have to finish out his contract, which I believe only has a year left? I think, if I'm not wrong, I think he's only got a year left on the contract. So once he's done this year, he can come over. Then it's going to be, how long is it going to take until he is ready to go? I mean, I know Harrison's a free agent at the end of the year. Vladar signed for 2 years. Bjarnason, I think, is on the 2nd year of his entry-level deal, and then Kolosov's on his. So I think this is a good opportunity for them to maybe, depending on how the season goes, let Sam Harrison walk and then allow Zavragin to kind of step in and let Bjarnason and Kolosov take the Harrison role until Zavragin's ready to go. But as far as this season goes, I think this is the best that the Flyers are going to have to offer.
My question with it is, so I was thinking in the same headspace there, where it's just like, okay, so if you let Harrison walk, and say Vladar plays solid enough, and you just keep him around, maybe do 1 more year with him or what have you, and then you kind of see, okay, so who's going to work with Vladar? Is it going to be Bjarnason? Or is it going to be Kolosov at the end of the day? And then you kind of have the young pup take a huge step forward of, okay, you're going to wear the orange and black, and you're going to be up here. And Obviously, Kolosov has a little bit more experience in that department than Bjarnason, but if Bjarnason's looking good, maybe it might not be the worst thing in the world. Now, you could also do this the opposite way, where you could keep Urson around for one more year or what have you, and then have Vladar walk, and then try to bring up one of the young players and have them work with Urson. So you could do it either way. But hold on. Vladar is signed for how many years again?
2.
2, okay. So in the end, if you let Urson walk and you keep Vladar around for that second year of his contract, and then you see, okay, so who's going to work with Vladar? Is it going to be Bjarnason or is it going to be Kolosov? You could essentially do that. I'm not against it. That's not an offense to Urson. I think Urson does deserve credit for the work he's put in here. But at the same time, it's like, if these young pups have got the opportunity to really, make progress and really develop into something, then it might be a really good idea to just say, okay, Urson's leaving, bring up one of the young players and have them rotate with Vladar next year.
Not a bad idea. And just to piggyback on Brian's point in terms of Zebregan potentially being the superstar that the Flyers need down the road, he started off his KHL season with a bang, picking up exactly where he left off. It's only September. It's only 3 starts. It is the KHL with lower talent overall, but the 20-year-old has a .949 save percentage, a 166 goals against. He's 2-1-0. He's the youngest goalie in the KHL with at least 1 start, yet ranks second in save percentage among them. And it's early, but this stat's kind of telling. Zebregan and New York Islanders superstar Ilya Sorokin have a .945 save percentage or better with at least 2 wins in their age 20 KHL season, according to Quant Hockey. All this information I'm looking up from an article written in the HockeyWriters.com, Justin Giampietro. And it's an awesome article that I was reading while you guys were talking. But I mean, I'm starting to get the sense of what you're saying, Brian, that like as impressed as I am with Bjarnason's play, his prospect buzz has really gone down, whereas Zebregan's is shooting up like a skyrocket right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's looking like the future of the Flyers, it's going to be Zebregan as your starter, Bjarnason as your backup, which is not a bad thing. It's just right now, and I said this a couple of times in this offseason, I want to see with the Vladar signing if he's going to be able to push Ersson to be better, because he's going to have to be.
Right.
He has to be.
Because Vladar has been proven in the NHL for quite a while now. So
and Ersson's not been bad. He's just showing that he's not a starter. He's not a 60-game guy. He's like a fringe starter. If you want to go into like EA NHL terms, he's a fringe starter.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing is, it's like if we had more of a rotation going on, if we had more of a platooning situation, then it would be fine. I think the problem is that we need Ersson to be more of a starter, and like you said, Brian, it's just maybe that's just not his role. At the end of the day, that doesn't mean that he can't play in this league. He absolutely can. But maybe he would be better suited if he wasn't taking as much of the workload, and maybe if Vladar could take some off of him, that might really help in the long run at the end of the day. And again, not all his fault. He got thrown a bad hand when the Carter Hart situation came out, but he did rise to the occasion during that time period. So now it's like, okay, can we get back to that just a little bit? You don't have to be.
He's also only 25, Matt. We may not even seen what Ersson truly is.
It's a good point. It's a good point.
True. It's a great point.
He may wind up putting Vladar to shame this year and just say, yeah, you don't need him. You got me. Like, what are you worried about?
Believe me, I would love that. I would love that. Come on, Sam, make me put my foot in my mouth about this. Make me eat that crow. Like, I would love that. Because to me, and this is the last thing I'll say about it, I mean, Robbie, correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like the best version of Sam Ersson that we've had has been playing behind somebody like Carter Hart, has been playing behind a guy who can sit there and elevate his play, elevate the competition. I just don't think he's had that since Carter Hart's been gone.
Yeah, I totally agree with that because we've seen him on an international level really pick up as a game when he's around other talent, right? And you know, and I've made this point before too, is we have a lot of work to do on the blue line. Tocchet has been seriously disappointed by the lower third of the projected starting six, as well as guys D-men trying to make this team to the point where we'll get into it in a little bit in terms of who was sent down to the Phantom. So, I mean, but ultimately, as younger pups really come into fruition, come up to this team and fill out those pieces on the blue line, and then you see the guys that are here taking that next step. As the defense improves, it's impossible for the goaltender not to improve. It's hand in hand.
Right.
So let's see here. Yeah, John was saying how long till we see Zvragin, which again we talked about before.
Year or two.
I do love how he switched his icon to a Cylon from Battlestar Galactica. But
I had no idea what that was.
It's actually a really fun show. Anyway, SJM86 saying, what up, my guys? I thoroughly enjoyed watching the Flyers last night, although it's the preseason. It just feels different. I'm not insinuating anything crazy, and I'm excited about the young talent. And I think we should be excited about the young talent. I mean, we're going into a year where, unlike when Tortorella took over, Torts really didn't have much to work with. When he first came here, like the Flyers didn't have nearly as many prospects, and we did not have a Michkov at the time. So for a lot of that, it's good to see that now, okay, it seems like the influx of the young talent is coming in and it's starting to bear some fruit, and that is exciting. And it's exciting now, and it's exciting for a new coach to get a chance to work with these young players. So yeah, there's reason to be excited.
There's a lot of energy in the building, and some of that's coming from the youth, but I think a lot of that's coming from Rick Tocchet and new blood. He's not beating them to death in practice, so we could actually see them play hockey, actual hockey plays this early, really early in the camp. And it's just, a guy's breath of fresh air, Cam York. We'll talk about Zegras and his new opportunity here in Philadelphia later on in the show. And the guys are just enjoying playing for Talk as predicted.
Yeah. And Benny's saying bring back Bob in 2026. We have him help Igor when he comes over. If Bob would be willing to come back to Philly, I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't be against it. But I don't think Bob's coming back. I think he's completely fine with staying down there in Florida. I think he's good.
Well, I mean, we don't know. I mean, like Kolosov can continue to progress. He could be that tandem guy to back up Zvragin, and he'll have been here already, have been through it, and still have the relatability of being not too far apart in age to be able to communicate. And did we just become best friends? Yep.
Yeah. And I said this most of the offseason. I think Kolosov got humbled last year, and I think we're going to see him really anchor down and get his game back under control and be that guy that he was over in Russia. And sometimes a player needs that. And what's nice about it is he's still young enough that he can do that. This is just, again, he's a kid. I think he's 20, 21, 22, something like that. There's still so much more room for growth for some of these guys,
right.
So I can't sit there and say that, I'm washing my hands of them all, because I'm not. But I just want to see these guys continue to grow. Like
you said,
he needed it.
Well, like you say, sometimes you get young players, young guys, 20, 21. I mean, hey, some guys get cocky at a very young age. There's a lot of guys who get cocky at a young age, thinking that they're hot shit and thinking that they can handle anything. And it's like, all right. If you really want it that bad, you got it. Don't say I didn't warn you. when it comes. And
Yeah.
like you said, Kolosov got taken down a peg possibly and realized, oh, maybe I'm not 100% ready for the NHL. Doesn't mean he can't be, just means he's just not ready right now. Simple as that. And that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah. No, it's perfectly all right.
Yeah.
I'm just going to hit SJM's question here real quick since we were just talking about it.
Yeah.
Gurbankin, I think, is definitely earning a spot. I think if he wasn't a part of the 10 guys, 11 guys that got cut today, which Bump was one of them, unfortunately, I think he's going to be given a shot, which I think he deserves.
Right. Let's see here. American Loyalist saying this is a cope. We suck goaltending wise.
I don't think we suck, but that's definitely the weakest point of the team, in my opinion.
I think mediocre might be the best word for it.
Yeah.
Average.
Yeah.
I think I'm always higher on it than most, and I think the real problem, true problem, is the defense being played.
I mean, yeah, if you don't have a strong defense, it doesn't matter who you got in goal. You could have freaking Brodeur sitting back there. If your defense sucks ass, then it's like you're letting in goals. It's just going to happen at some point, you know? So I would say, as bad as it is, it's not terrible. It could be far, far worse. Let's see here. Benny's saying any chance of the playoffs has to start with a better version of TK, who's faded towards the second half of last year.
Yeah.
He also said, I know it's a pipe dream. I mean, if the Flyers want to make the playoffs, they got to catch a couple of breaks. For one, teams that would be most likely projected ahead of them have to play like crap going down the stretch. I'm not saying that the Flyers can't be in the mix, but the Flyers have to be very strong and consistent, which is where we have the problem. Consistency-wise, the Flyers struggled with that last year. They wouldn't roll over and play dead necessarily, but in terms of holding leads and in terms of being able to consistently, get those wins and pile up the points, that was where the struggle really was the consistency issue. And then having a terrible power play didn't help anything either. So if you can address major issues and get a couple of lucky breaks, maybe, but it's a maybe in my opinion. I wouldn't even go as far to say yes, because it's like, to me, that's too much. I'm not going to go overboard on it. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I feel like if the lucky breaks happen, they play stronger, consistent hockey, and they're actually getting some surprising wins even in March, and other teams might be fading. I don't know. I still might put them in the maybe category in the bubble side of things. I don't know how you guys feel about that, if things are going in their direction by that time.
I mean, I want to see how they do in October before I really make any kind of call on where they'll be or where they could potentially finish. I mean, obviously, yeah, if they're consistent all year, they'll definitely figure out a way to find the playoffs. I mean, that's what it's all about, right? Is consistency. I also think a lot of the younger guys are going to have to grow fast, but I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. I mean, I've said it all off season. I think this is a bubble team, and it's going to come down to really special teams and goaltending. For me, it's goaltending number 1, power play number 2, PK number 3. PK has to be better than last year. Power play has to be better than last year, and I think it's going to be really hard for it not to be better than last year right now.
It's already looking better.
Right, exactly. So I think with the coaching staff that's in place right now and just kind of how the vibes are coming from the players out of camp, it's going to be a fun team to watch regardless if they make the playoffs or not.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a pipe dream at all, boys. I mean, there's enough talent on this team with upside, right? That if it's truly untapped, they can be, like you said, Brian, they could be that bubble team, and they could be that team that really excels. I mean, Zegras hits the ground running. Owen Tippett hits the ground running. Travis Konechny has that consistency from 1 to 82. I have a lot of faith in this team, and I think that this team can be a wild card. Maddie, to answer your question, I'm a little bit. Maybe I'm drinking the Kool-Aid, but
So do you think that you think they could be this year's Montreal? Do you think you could be this year's Montreal Canadiens?
Depends on the defense and how it shapes up, but if you have, again, upside. What if we get an upside year from Jamie Drysdale? Right, Cam York turns it around. Right, these are a lot of question marks. So I'm not saying it's a for certain thing. Right, I don't want anybody to put words in my mouth. I'm not supremely confident, but it's not a pipe dream when you have this much upside.
No, and I agree. And the one thing that the only thing I asked for York this year, bump up the offensive production. He's been way better defensively than anybody thought he would be. In fact, he's been the other way around. I was listening to Snow the Goalie podcast the other day when I was in the gym, and they were talking about it. And I thought and I'm not his biggest fan, but Anthony Sanfilippo brought up a great point. The only thing that's holding Cam York back from being an outstanding defenseman is getting his offensive production going, finding that consistency there. He's been fine defensively. He's been better than they were expected defensively. But, for me, you get him on the power play, get him some more opportunities to shoot the puck and get that offensive production up. I mean, he still has an upside. To Robbie's point, there's so many guys on this roster that do have that upside that can get going. And if they can do it and really be consistent with it, yeah, it's not a pipe dream. I don't think it's a pipe dream. I just think some of the chips need to fall their way. Some of the bounces have to go their way, and they have to steal some wins in the last part of the year.
They will. They will absolutely will have to. Let's see here. American Loyalist does want to know what your thoughts are on the Phillies for the playoffs this year, since they are in a bye, so they are not playing right now. They're awaiting their opponent.
So for me, it depends on who they pull in the first round or in the NLDS. I think that's going to be a big factor on who they wind up, on how the road's going to go. I would like, preferably, for them to play the Cubs, but we'll see how kind of things fall. I don't want to see the Padres again. I'm just tired of beating them. It's getting old, but if any year's a year for them to win the World Series again, this has to be the year. To me, it's falling into place for them.
I mean, I will say I do love that saying that you just threw out there with the Padres. It's like, it wasn't fun the first time. I'm not interested.
It was great the first couple times we knocked them out of the playoffs, but it's like playing the Braves in the playoffs. It's no fun anymore. You already know what's going to happen. So, I mean, I'm just, like I said, it depends on who they play in the first round. If they play the Cubs, I like that. I like their chances there. If they want to play in Cincinnati, or I'm blanking on who Cincinnati's playing. It depends on who they play in the first round. I think that's going to be their toughest matchup in the NLDS.
Okay, so as we move forward, I think now is a good time to take a look at those roster cuts as we continue to go forward here for the season preview. As we get closer and closer to the start of the regular season, obviously, not everyone's going to make the team. So, Bri, you have the names. Besides Bump, while you look for those names.
There they are.
Ah, there we go. Victory. We have discovered the names. All right, then. Here we are. So these 10 players right here are going to be heading off to play for the Phantoms. Bump obviously being one that we said earlier. Denver Barkey going to get his first opportunity to be in the Lehigh Valley system. We also have Alex Gendron, Devin Kaplan, Emil Andre, Helga Granz, Hunter McDonald, Ty Murchison, Carson Bjarnson, and Alexei Kolosov. So obviously not a shocker that the two goalies wind up going down to the Phantoms. We all pretty much just knew it was going to be Vladar and Urson. However, how surprised are you about, say, like an Emil Andre or an Alex Bump going down? Because obviously Emil Andre has history. He has played on the Flyers, and Bump had a lot going for him into this camp. So how surprised are you with the cuts?
I'm not really surprised at all. Honestly, I know Pove was high on him. I was semi high on him. I'm not surprised Bump got the bump. So this kind of was just like, okay, Barkey expected, Gendron expected, Kaplan expected. Helge Grands was kind of I thought he was going to compete a little bit for. I thought this was going to be a little bit for maybe the seventh D man, maybe beat out like a Gilbert or Juleson. Emil Andre needs as much minutes as he can get. So any of these big name guys that you see on this list outside of Carson Bjarnson or Alexei Kolosov, they're down there to get as many minutes as possible. Because third and fourth line minutes for these guys, I think it's more going to hurt them than help them with their development. So just get them down there, let them play, let them continue to grow. And the good thing about it is these guys are going to be able to come back up now because they're going to Lehigh. It's not like they're going back to juniors.
True.
So they'll be able to get called up if there's an injury or anything like that, and they're playing really well in that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But this list doesn't really shock me. I'm not really super surprised by it.
What about you, Robbie? And I know obviously you were high on Alex Bump, but how do you feel about, like, saying Emil Andre? That I know there was a little bit going behind him. Obviously, Barkey's going to have a little bit going behind him too, but I think that shouldn't surprise us too much that Barkey's going to be on the Phantoms. But go ahead, Rob. Anything that popped out to you?
Barkey isn't a surprise. Bump is. I figured he would have lasted a little bit longer, but really the writing was on the wall with how well Tyson Forrester has come back from the infection in his elbow. That would have been his line to make in this team. But in the end, the fact that he was even in consideration at this point is a really big feather in his cap, and I expect big things from him down the road because of it. Now, on the flip side, you asked about Emil Andre, and Brian, you mentioned Helge Grands. These are two players that have had not so good to lower brow camps when either one of these guys could have stepped up and filled a starting role on this defense, especially Helge Grands, where there's a lot of size to fill with Rasmus Ristolainen going to be out for at least the first month of the season. I expected Helge Grands to really take that opportunity. He's got the size and he plays a similar type game, but at this point, there's going to be like you mentioned, like Juleson or others that will fill that role until Risto is ready to go. So that was a little bit surprised with. Richard, he's being waived. So, you'd like to see him clear waivers because he's good depth scoring within the organization. But ultimately, there's a lot of housekeeping by the new coaching staff, guys.
Yeah.
And the one name that's not being shown because for some reason I think our ticker's in the way is Anthony Richard got loaned down to Lehigh as well. So he's another guy that has probably going to be a call-up guy, like a taxi squad guy who's probably going to be up and down all season long.
If he clears waivers.
If he clears waivers,
probably should.
Yes.
He probably should.
Yeah.
I know there was a lot of talk out there that Helge Grands was waived as well as Devin Kaplan, which was just blatantly I cannot believe the false posts that get put out there, and people will eat this shit up thinking that like they had him quote Helge Grands quoted as saying that if I get picked up by another team, I'm going to stick it in the Flyers' face. Like, come on now.
No.
Does that sound like something he would say? No.
What?
Ludicrous. Yeah, absolutely
Yeah,
ludicrous.
there's some terrible stuff out there, and you got to be careful what you click on, and
Yeah.
just know who to trust. That's all I'm gonna say.
Who's Helgi Grants think he is? Sean Avery? No, I'm joking. Anyway.
Apparently.
So again, for me, I'm not surprised at some of the names. I'm disappointed, if anything. I'm disappointed in Andre and Grands, because I thought, like, man, really golden opportunity, and they kind of balked at it a little bit. I'm not saying that it's impossible. It's just that it's like, come on, boys. This was your chance to step up here, and make a name for yourself and get yourself in an orange and black jersey. So a little disappointed in that. Bump, I would say a little disappointed only because from what I saw, it wasn't stellar. But at the same time, again, it's not the end of the world, And other than that, I mean, Barkey, I was already convinced was going to be down in the Phantoms anyway. So that doesn't really bother me. I was just kind of hoping to see Barkey make a little bit of an impact for the during the preseason, which I don't think he's played poorly. Just, it's just we knew he was going where he was going. And as for Bjarnason and Kolosov, if they played well, that's good. We already knew they were going to the Phantoms. So again, it was like those names you already knew. Like, they're not going to be on the main roster going into the season because we already have that solidified right now.
Right. And Maddie, guys like Barkey and Bump, they can continue on working together, building chemistry with the Phantom. Right. So maybe there's a point of setting them down together, being like, like having to sit down and being like, this isn't a blow to your confidence. You played well. These are two guys that had great developmental and rookie camps, right? So
right.
It's a numbers game. It gets to be a numbers game. What are they at? They're at 29 right now, I think, roster-wise.
I'm not sure, actually. Heather's saying, still missing my boy. I'm sure you are, Heather. And
hopefully he's enjoying Cleveland.
Yeah. But yeah, so these are the names that have been cut so far from the Flyers camp. Richard, I will say this though about Richard. I did like his play. I think that he's I hope he does clear waivers. I hope he winds up in the Phantoms. I like him as a depth player. I think that he could be a really stronger depth player at going in between the team. Maybe he might wind up in a more permanent role as a depth player. Either way, I actually kind of like his game. I think he's got a sort of, not intensity, but he's got that drive to want to play really solid hockey. From what I've seen in him in preseason, even if he doesn't get the finish, the drive's there. So I'll take that.
Yeah, and like I said, most of these guys are getting sent down there just so they can get the minutes that they wouldn't get up here.
Right.
I mean, to Poe's point earlier, Forcer coming back, that bumps somebody down. So honestly, I don't want to see Barkey bump Andre Grands getting 10 to 12 minutes a game when in the AHL they can get 15 to 20 to maybe even more. So it's a better opportunity for them in the AHL. It's a better opportunity for them to develop and kind of fine-tune some of the things in their game. And, when they get another shot next year or they get another shot later on in the year, God forbid there's an injury.
Right. From what Poe's saying, 29 currently right now for the training camp roster. So
it's got to go down 7 more.
Right. Which I'm sure by the end of the week it'll be done. So as we continue forward, Heather's saying I'd rather him be enjoying Philly. Could have seen him again in February.
Well, so far, I mean, it's small sample size. I think it's only been 2 games, obviously not full games with goaltenders often splitting work during the preseason. But Fedutov's look great as a Columbus Blue Jacket, giving me, flashbacks to when we traded Bob to Columbus, like that level of playing well, right? But we've seen this before. He's shown signs of brilliance with the Flyers, we'll wait to see till that level of play expands. But so far, I think he's been the best goaltender in the preseason, or one of them.
Yeah, it's interesting to see though that he got waived already, which was kind of crazy to me. But I mean, that doesn't
Did he?
necessarily mean anything. Yeah,
Well, don't
wow.
they? Who do they have as their main goalie? It's still Verslinkens, is it not?
yeah, it's still Elvis Linkens. I think the reason they did it was their backup, and I'm blanking on their backup. I'm looking it up real quick. But I remember seeing like a few days after he got traded, he got waived and sent down to the AHL. Just give me 1 second.
Well, it's
I
not.
can't work this new freaking thing.
I thought he just played the other day. I mean, maybe I'm mistaken. That could be old information, but like I knew he got a hot start right away. I was like, some bitch. Some bitch.
You got me again, you son
No,
of a
I wonder if they pulled him back up.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe they had second thoughts on that. I mean, if he's playing as well as you're saying, Rob, then yeah, why would you send him down if he's playing well? You know,
You don't have
Well,
any.
I mean, this might be 4 periods of hockey I'm talking about here at most. So
Yeah.
Right.
Jet Greaves is their young stud.
Ah, okay. So they already have a young stud goaltender. Okay. So that's what the situation is. All right. Well, either way, we'll see how he does. We'll see if he pops up during the regular season. We'll see if be interesting if he dresses against the Flyers when the Flyers have to play the Blue Jackets. But we'll see. We'll see.
You know it'll happen.
Right. It's just how it has to be, right? And then
pitches a shutout. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. I was in the same wavelength on that one. It's like, yep. Watch him shut us down the entire game. Just be like, yep. Thanks, guys. Thank you, Fedotov. I appreciate. Anyway, Heather's just so upset. He's not old. No one's saying. Heather, no one said he was old.
I'll say it.
Chat. He's 28, right? 28, 29?
He's 29. Yeah, he's like 28, 29.
It's all right. He's younger than me, so calm down.
He's old for an NFL running back, apparently.
Well, I mean.
Yes. Yep.
I hate that sport. I'm so done with football.
I'm getting there. This product is just not good anymore.
We need the 80s pause screen for technical difficulties with the countdown every when he has to access a new system.
It's kind of true, actually. That's the funny part. It
kind of true. Enhance.
Just like
enhance.
Just like Blade Runner.
It's funny because it's actually kind of accurate. I hate every time the NHL app kind of redoes itself because then I got to figure it all out again. I'm 40 years old. I'm so technologically illiterate. It's not even funny.
All right. So with the roster cuts, Flyers down to 29. We're still getting closer and closer to the regular season. I mean, it's kind of exciting. Duh. It is exciting. What the fuck am I talking about? But at the same time, though, guys, is there something that like you're really hoping to see before the preseason's done? Like before we finish up with the preseason, is there someone or something you'd like to see from them before we get ready to go for the regular season?
I mean, it is kind of exciting, Maddie. I don't think you should take that statement back because there should be a little apprehension, right? We're coming off a season that was a step back, and now you have a new regime. That's not you can't expect it to hit the ground running right away. So there should be some, trepidation there. But I think, like I said before, there's a lot of upside. I'd like to see that continue to play out. I'd like to see Michkov pot a few more goals and really build up his buzz going to the season. We talked about TK, right? We'd like to see him, continue a good level of play into the season and throughout. Sean Couturier, right? This is an opportunity for him to be a potential comeback player of the year. and I'm calling it right now. Sean Couturier will be comeback player of the year.
All right. And I hope that you are 1,000% on point on that one, Robbie. Because if there's anyone that we need to be ready to take the cuffs off and just go full force into it, it's Coots.
Right. Not quite back to, when he was a young pup himself. Well, I'm really excited. He's fully healthy for the first time in a while, right? And he looked really good down the stretch, free, of torts out of the doghouse, right? Not having his minutes limited. Some of the poor production was because he was seeing, fourth line minutes, right?
Yeah.
Have an opportunity to show that you can still be a shutdown center in this league. I haven't heard a man more determined than his interviews. Like, he's on fire right now. That's why I'm making the statement, right? It is a ballsy statement. It is like, people will be laughing at me later on in the year, but I believe it can happen.
All right, then. Hey, listen, I hope you're right, man. I really do. I hope we look back on it and say, see, you all thought you were going to be laughing at Pove. Look who's laughing now. Anyway.
Not in my house.
No.
So, Bri, how about you? Is there anything you want to see in the preseason prior to the 9th?
We'll talk a little bit more about this in a second, but I want to see Trevor Zegras start to find his confident game again. This kid has way too much talent, and he's got way too much personality to be the way he was in Anaheim and Philly. He's a good kid, funny kid, insanely talented when it comes to hockey. He's got stupid hands. This is a kid that needs to take the next step, and I would love to see him do it here. Just that one goal he had against Boston the other night on the power play was just absolutely dirty, and that's not even scratching the surface of what he's capable of with a hockey puck and a hockey stick in his hand. I don't know if anybody remembers the over-the-top goal to Sonny Milano a couple years ago against Buffalo.
Sure
that's more of the stuff that he can do. Michigan goals left and right. This is a flashy kid who, if given the time and the space, can do magical things with a hockey stick in his hand. So that's what I want to see. I want to see a confident Trevor Zegras, a happy Trevor Zegras, and I think he's going to be a big piece of this team moving forward.
Right.
Oh, one more thing, Maddie. Health. I don't want to see anybody get hurt in these last 2 games.
Right.
Yeah.
Let me see here. Oh, SJM saying
Hi,
I was
Columbo.
talking about Zegras with a couple of buddies, and I kept calling Zordon from the Power Ranger.
Oh man, everybody's nerd showing tonight.
Hey, listen, there's nothing wrong with that. It's morphin' time. Anyway, we keep going. So,
put it away.
So, before we dive into the Trevor Zegras thing, let's talk about just the first 10 games that we have on the roster here or on the docket. So, the 9th, obviously, they play Florida. Then after that, they take on the Carolina Hurricanes. Then Florida once again, this time in Philadelphia. So we got 2 matches against the defending Stanley Cup champs right off the bat.
Fuck you, schedule makers.
Yeah. And a playoff team with Carolina, too, in Raleigh. And then Winnipeg after that in Philly. And then Minnesota and then Seattle. So a 4-game homestand after those 2 games. So not too bad. Then we take a quick little trip up to Ottawa to play the Senators. So we get to go pay G a visit. And then after that, we come back and we got a 3-game homestand to end the month in the final 10 games against the Islanders, the Pittsburgh Penguins, and the Nashville Predators. So we got a rivalry game coming. We got 2 rivalry games coming up in the month of October. So that'll be interesting. So at least there's that.
Yeah. Florida doesn't scare me as much as they did about a month ago. No Barkov for the year. Matthew Tkachuk is missing a good chunk of the year, so the Flyers aren't going to have to worry about him. Plus, the Flyers, for some reason, always seem to play the Panthers well. So beginning of this season isn't really as worrisome to me as it could be, but I mean, we'll see. I think the first month is going to tell us a lot about what this team is going to be capable of this year, and I don't think it's going to tell us a lot of the year because it's too early, but I think it's going to give us a little bit of a preview of what to expect.
Right. So, Bri, I believe that before we close out the show, you had some interesting information about Trevor Zegras and why he's now wearing the other orange and black jersey.
Yeah, so there was an article put out today, which I thought was kind of interesting, and give a shout out to Ducks and Pucks here. I'm taking a little snippet from them that they posted earlier on their Instagram.
I like that name, Ducks and Pucks.
So Trevor Zegras was apparently dealing with some issues in Anaheim that caused him to kind of fall into a little bit of a depression. So he was not the player that he wanted to be, and he wasn't the player that they wanted him to be. He called it seasonal depression. He said that every day in California was like the same day over and over again. He missed the seasons. He missed the different weathers, all that stuff. But this snippet here that they took from the article, I think, is talking about his time in Anaheim. I think this is going to say a lot, and I think this is going to be a big piece in telling what to expect from him this year. The snippet, I wish I had more about the article. It's from ESPN.com. I would love to give the article's writer the shout out, but unfortunately, I didn't see who actually wrote it. It says Zegras believes that he wasn't given a proper chance by Cronin and Verbeek to prove his worth at center. That left him overthinking things and feeling unsupported by his team, which impacted his mental health. He's quoted to say, "The last thing I was thinking about was actually playing hockey at times. That was hard for me. And then you throw in the injuries and then the rehab and then the recovery and then getting back to, I guess, the place that you were before. The little things become big things in your head, and it makes it very hard to play against the best players in the world on a night-to-night basis," Zegras said. So that's Zegras' quote. He said it almost felt like you were alone when they didn't believe in you. So there were all these rumors going around about whether or not Craig Cronin, at the time that he was the head coach of the Anaheim Ducks, that he played certain players a little bit more. He leaned into certain players a little bit more, and that he just wasn't he wasn't a good coach. He had certain expectations, and if they weren't met, it was basically hard to deal with. So I think with the fresh start, the new situation, I think with him being from New York, being back on the East Coast, I think it's going to absolutely restore some of his faith. I think it's going to restore his mental health. I think he's going to feel better. And I think we're already starting to see it, that he's feeling better because of his play on the ice. Just early on, and just the fun that he's having with Michkov, being back with Jamie. I think we're going to see a very healthy, a very different Trevor Zegras, who I think is going to have a breakout year this year.
He also did have a goal, actually, if I stand correct, in a preseason game. So I think
that power play goal from Michkov.
Right. So if anything, it's like, okay, this is where it starts. Starts getting his confidence back up in him.
He actually had 2 points that night.
So there you go. This is where it starts. Getting that
such
confidence
a lovely
back.
feed too, and it gets you excited about what can be. And I feel that Rick Taka is the perfect coach for him right now, based on what he just had to say.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And like I said, I wish I can give the shout out to the guy who wrote the article. I just missed who it was. But you can catch it on ESPN.com. It's up there. Give it a read. It was very interesting. It was a very interesting piece on Z.
It makes sense. It makes a lot of sense as to why he was, why he needed to change the scenery. This is why we stress that sometimes it goes a long way to go to a new place, because you're too much in your head and you can't. The place that you're at just feels like a prison, and it sounds like that's what he was going through. So
he apparently wasn't the only one dealing with it with Cronin. I think that despite how they finished, I think that team got him fired, which wouldn't surprise me at all because there's a lot of people that did not like him.
Well, hey, if you're going to be abrasive, then that's a double-edged sword, and it can come back and bite you in the ass in a big way. So it looks like it did. Well, all I can say on this, welcome to Philadelphia, Zegras. Sounds like you're already enjoying yourself. We hope you enjoy yourself even more, because the more you enjoy and the best you play, that's a win for all of us. So please, by all means, crush it this year.
Yes, SJM, too soon. I had him on my fantasy team. I actually just traded for him. He was on my roster ready to go for Monday night.
By the way, Heather's saying that losing Fedotov has affected my mental health. You know what, Heather? If I can find one on the cheap, I'll find a knockoff Blue Jackets jersey for Fedotov, and I'll just send it to you. How about that? And then you can at least have him in Blue Jacket form forever.
And you'll be like me and have a bunch of random jerseys in your closet.
Yeah, there we go.
Tell me about it.
You can wear it to school on the sports teams days, and everybody can think you're a Blue Jackets fan when you're not. And then, so you have a good night, Heather. Hopefully, we'll see you next week. I know we will. Also, SJM saying that Fettuccini had a doctored birth certificate, apparently.
No idea what he's talking about. But
Me
okay.
neither. So, yeah, all love, Heather. All love. Anyway. So we thank everybody for joining us for this edition of Flyers Talk A2D. The season is almost here, folks. The first day of spooky season starts tomorrow. And then after that, the following week, we've got the 9th. The season will officially start and the Flyers will be off and running. So, ladies and gentlemen, get pumped, get amped. It's a young team. It's a growing team. Mitchie's back for another go, and I'm excited to see what he can do. And I'm excited to see what Zegras can do. I'm excited to see what Coots, what York, what Forster can do. Let's see what they've got. I know they've got a lot. I know that Coots still has something left in the tank. Show it. Stop talking about it. Show it. That's time to do it. We will see you guys next week right here on A2DRadio.com. And next week, I believe the Flyers, do they have a preseason game next week on Tuesday?
If they do, it's probably not going to be televised. They haven't televised any of them this year.
Except the one against the Capitals.
It wasn't even their feed.
Right, it was the Capital feed. But to be fair, they were playing in the Giants Center. So it's like, all right, it's their AHL team. So even if it's in Pennsylvania. Anyway, we thank everybody for joining us. We will see you guys next week right here on A2DRadio.com. From all of us, we wish you good night. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Peace and love, everybody. Oh, Specialized Physical Therapy. Check out the doc.